Hey, Jesus. Thank you for having us here at your home, your business, the Outpost. Very much excited to have and be a part of this program with Inspira. Thank you for allowing us to be here and to be able to get to know a little bit more about you. We were with you, at least via the internet, about 2 years ago. The pandemic was wrapping up, not quite, but almost. And so just want to talk to you and kind of get to kind of know how things are going and how things have transpired over the last few years.
Yeah, of course. No, not a problem. Thanks for coming here. Finally meeting you in person. Doing this one-on-one in person, not via on a computer.
Sure.
But it's our pleasure having you here. It's always nice talking about our business, about being an entrepreneur and whatnot. So you guys are very welcome.
Jesus, tell me what has transpired? 2 years, a lot has happened. I understand you're going to be opening up a new location as well. Tell us a little bit about that. I'd love to hear.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, they said days are long, but time flies, right? And it sure has. It's been 2 short, long years. Like we like to say. One of them, last time we talked, it was during the big, kind of towards the end-ish of the pandemic. And then we were in the middle of opening our second location. Now, 2 years later, almost, we're getting ready to open the third location. And a lot of things have happened, have changed, for the good. I think that as you go, while you say anything within 5 years of being part owner of something or having a business, it's learning. Right, because especially as you expand, having one versus having two versus having three, it's very, very different. But we're adjusting. We're adjusting to the times of people going back to work, to having new employees, to the growth of it. But I would say for the most part, it's going well. We're still learning as we go. Trying to learn as much as I can and adjust to what's best for the business.
What would you say at this point has been the most challenging, taking that business to that next level, having your third location?
I think challenging, it's time, the timing of things. Sometimes there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of locations that we've run into. Is this the right location? Is this not? The timing. And what I mean by timing, it's, making time to make sure you focus on the third one, right? You either focusing on your 2 locations that you currently have, spending time on it, or you spend time on the third one. So, I feel that at one point you have to know what your budget is to make sure that you have enough to cover your time in your other 2 locations so you can focus on the third. And once you make that happen, then you can start focusing. So after timing, I would say obviously employees, 100%, you got to make sure that you have a good team taking care of the day-to-day operations in your other 2 locations, and helping them, helping you grow as you go, and having a strong bag, as we like to cover, or as we like to call it. So I think those things are the most challenging things, but I wouldn't even say challenging. I just think it's time consuming, because you have to make sure that they're trained and they can follow the things that you would do, as you were there. So I would say just time consuming, not challenging necessarily. There's everyday challenges that you run into as you open a third location. The lease, the contract, permits, all that. But I think that as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, those are things that you have to have in mind that are going to happen, because if you think I'm just going to do this and you run into those, then it becomes a big problem. I think you have to be realistic to your team and to yourself, and be aware of this things that might happen, which, the good thing for us, it had already happened to us twice. So, on the third one, we're like, okay, this might happen, that might happen. So that's been really the most challenging part of growing a brand and a business.
You've been a chef at other restaurants, at other facilities. How do you see the Mexican restaurant industry overall? How is that evolving? How is that changing?
I think it has changed a lot. Very rapid. It happened very quick. I was reading an article a few years ago saying that how the Mexican food, Mexican restaurants. They were the fastest growing restaurants in the United States and in the world too. The past 5 to 7 years, I want to say. So don't quote me on this, but I believe that it's still the number one cuisine that's expanding. So with that, there's a lot of different things that happen in between, right? But as far as the changes that have happened, I think that the pandemic was big, huge reason of it, right? The food costs went higher. A lot of places went out of business. And with that as said to this, there is a lot of room for opportunities for new entrepreneurs, for new owners to, take that challenge, right? Take that, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to shoot for it. I'm going to try it out. So just like how sadly a lot of restaurants close, there is also a lot of new, a new concept, new ideas, new restaurants, happening everywhere. So I think that's the rebound, from the pandemic. And also, I do think that a lot of businesses, they all adjusted to, pricing on the menu. I think that's probably the number one thing. A spike of, menu prices probably in the 15 to 20%. But I think that's just something that it's normal now. I feel for your everyday consumer or your clientele, they're aware that if they go eat, it's not the same that it was 5 years ago, right? Absolutely. And but another thing, it's also, staffing. I think during the pandemic, there was a lot of people trying new opportunities, right? Because the pandemic, it shut down a lot of jobs that it made people go and find other jobs. And I do think that the restaurant industry was the one that suffered the most because a lot of restaurants closed. There was a lot of hours being cut. And employees, they have to do what they have to do to sustain their family. So I think there was also a big change in the industry. That there was almost a lack of employees that didn't want to, either they try something new and they stay with it, or they just didn't want to come back to the restaurant industry. But I believe those in the past 5 years, from what I know, it's what I take.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and then you're absolutely right. No, Mexican food in the United States, and I believe also globally, as you stated, is the number one fastest growing category. It's outpacing pretty much all other categories of food at this moment in time. Absolutely, it's amazing. I think it's just consumers are becoming much more comfortable with Mexican food. I think it's a comfort food. I think it's a food that people gravitate towards when they are stressed out and want to feel good and just want to enjoy a beautiful meal.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree with you. I think that's it's a comfort, food in a way. But I also think that what makes the Mexican cuisine so much different than any other countries or any other cuisines, it's the style, right, of food. As we know, us being Mexican, we know that in every state things are done different.
Dishes, not only every state, every household.
right. Yeah, it starts with the household, right? Absolutely. But I think that when people say Mexican restaurants, they think of your everyday, right? But I've seen places that are open as Mexican restaurant, right? That they're bringing concepts from Puebla, from Oaxaca, from Mexico DF, from Sonora, from Sinaloa. And I think that's what makes us so different. And I think that's why I live in an area where 80% of the population, it's Mexican. And there's probably about 30, 35, Mexican restaurants. Mm-hmm. They are within a 2-3 mile radius, but they're all from different states, right? They all like different styles, and people don't get tired of it. So I think that's also part of the reason why it's growing so fast and why it's still growing, because it's not just your taco, burrito, right, torta that people have known for many years.
Right.
It's a lot of other different concepts, other types of cuisine. They are getting out there. They haven't in the past. And as a Mexican, it makes me happy, right? Because you're not only I go and eat it, but also it makes me happy that people are trying, different types of cuisines that weren't really around, 10 years ago or whatnot.
Sure. Well, I will say though, to speak of Indian food or Italian food, I think the same thing was true in that regard. People from northern Italy, southern Italy, the food's very different, and it's also depending on the household, The food can be very different in that regard. Same thing with Indian. You talk about Indian food. Oh my God, Northern India, Southern India. All of that food is so different, and how people experience it. It's
and very different spices too.
Very different.
And for me, that I come from the culinary background. It's very interesting seeing that like India has the most spices in the world, more than Mexico, right? But yeah, a lot of those spices are very similar.
Yes.
But just different type of. They actually use a lot of same. Some dishes are very similar.
Yes.
Some guisados, they throw the potatoes, they throw the meat. So just, obviously using a little bit, seasonings a little bit differently. But to me, that's very interesting. For Italy, and I used to work in Italian restaurants. I learned so much about tomatoes, right? I know they have the dishes, the pastas, whatnot. Right. But the tomatoes, it's what really, really gets, a very good sauce versus an average sauce. Right. And I think that goes same for our culture. Like salsas, how many different types of salsas, Mexican,
Sure.
You can mix 5-7 different things and you have a new salsa.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of it, right? Not just for Mexican cuisine, but just like overall if you have the creativity, you can come up with a lot of different things.
Sure. No, absolutely. No, I agree completely. Well, tell me, how have on a personal note, how have things changed for you? I mean, I know that it's taken a lot of sacrifice on your part to have to get to where you are today. I mean, if you don't mind talking a little bit about, what does it take to do what you need to do? What's an average day for you? What time do you get up? What time do you go to sleep? If you can give us some insight on what do you do to get to where you are today?
There's a lot that goes into it, right? But I usually say this, like, people are sad in a way, or they're, it's going to be, if it's Sunday evening or Sunday night, they're like, oh, tomorrow's the beginning of the week, right? Yeah. And they get happy at the end of the week, Friday, right? I think what makes visionaries, entrepreneurs different, it's like, okay, like tomorrow's Monday, like how much can I get done this week, right? Like what can how can I make my week more to last longer, or to, more productive, right? And that goes with having, like short and long-term plan. And for us, it has always been expanding. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes into it. There's, when it's opening, when it's within a month of opening a location, it's, all hands on deck. You should like I call it, it is not just for the new opening location. It's also, oh, this guy called off, or this guy got sick, or this happened at this location. So it's you make sure you're taking care of the everyday problems, but on top of it, you're still on schedule with opening the new location. So my day, like I was getting ready for a third location. Sure. It's sometimes I get, I want to be at work 7-8 in the morning as early as I can, to make sure my day lasts a little bit longer, and and get home in a certain time where I can be with my wife and be with my baby. I just have a newborn, our first baby, and it's been hard, right? It's part of the sacrifice. My wife, I'm lucky enough that she understands the industry, that she understands what sacrifice is, but it's also making sure that you have to give them your perspective, where you deal, what your plan is. Like, this is what I want to be at, this is what I want to do. You need a team to back you up, right? It's not just your team from work.
You can't do it without family.
Yeah.
And I mean, without the support in that regard. I mean, absolutely. I mean, if your partner is not, understanding of why you're not coming at home at 5 in the afternoon, where most people would be at home at 5 in the afternoon per se, you couldn't do it.
Right. No, 100%. And, and she gets like, the baby's little, like, for a week, I didn't see him really awake. I would leave at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. He's sleeping. I'll get home at 8, 9 p.m. He's already sleeping. But it's just, it's sad. It's hard. But I think, like nothing great comes easy, right? And it's either you pay someone else to do your job, or you do it yourself. And, I'm sanding tables, I'm painting the tables, I'm, painting the new location, I'm talking to the vendors, I'm taking to the construction crew. You have to make sure that you're able to do all of those things, and then, but also at the same time, be aware of how much you can do, right? And if it requires, hiring someone to do part of the job that you're doing, then you got to do it, to make sure that you open, at the time your goal, right?
Right.
And that's there's really a lot that goes into it. Your day. I don't have a day by day. I don't have I wake up at this. It's just really what it needs. There's days that I have to be at our Downers Grove location at 6 a.m. to get our catering done, to make sure that the crew that closest doesn't get it early.
Sure.
And then still come to the one here in the city and go to the new one that we're opening, right? And just taking care of those problems. My business partner and I, we touch bases, day by day. It's not like, okay, this week I'm gonna do this, and that. Today I'm gonna do this. If you need anything, let me know. What do we need to get done? And work as a team. Really, when you have a partnership, you have to make sure that you understand each other's schedule outside of work.
Sure.
Because obviously, that's very important. And just finding a balance between work and family. It's probably the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I was saying earlier today. What I tell my wife: take it day by day, right?
Right.
You gotta just take it day by day, and then just know that. At the end of the day, time goes by really fast. We're talking about when we did the first interview. That was 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago.
Right.
And just it went by so fast. And then just like we say, there's days that you're like, man, it was so long. But then time flies, right? And then just get the most out of your day, out of the week. I think people, there are people, they all have different mentalities, right? They have their stress Monday through Friday, and then once Friday hits at 5, 6 o'clock, they're done. They're clocked out. They leave all the problems in their office.
Right.
And when you're entrepreneurs, you really can't do that. You never unplug yourself from having fun or enjoying yourself. There's always something.
In my opinion, I really think if you're enjoying what you're doing, I mean, yes, it's work, no question about it. But if you're enjoying it, there's a certain level of gratification, satisfaction of the things that you're accomplishing as you're moving forward. And so that really provides a great deal of satisfaction and motivation to keep going, moving forward. And it's like, okay, got this done. Okay, got this done. Boy, you know what? This messed up. I couldn't get it done. But, as kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 1 step back maybe, and, you keep going.
Yesterday, like I said, I was, I work all weekend. Not 8, 10-hour days, but I'll, 5 hours here, 3 hours there, doing errands, stuff that you just can't do during the week. But it doesn't feel, like you said, doesn't feel like work. It feels like a necessary thing to do in order for your week to go smoother, right? And to get ahead of the game, to make sure you take that step extra. Instead of taking 2, you're taking 3 steps this week instead of 2, So I just think it's, give it more as much as you can whenever you can. Sure. But like I said, with the mentality that you do have to make a balance with your family, with your kids, because time doesn't come back. The reality, you can have all the money you want, you can have anything you want, but the one thing that doesn't come back is time. And I think my very first job, it was a retirement home. And then I think I learned that at such a young age that I would see that in this elderly people.
Yeah.
That, that's the one thing, it's just time doesn't go back. It doesn't matter what you do, what you don't do. If you can do it, do it. If you shouldn't do it, don't do it. But it's a matter of balancing everything out.
One of the biggest regrets people have when they're, already ready to retire, their feet kind of moving on with their lives, is the things they wish they would have done that they didn't do, that they could have done, but they didn't do because they didn't take the risk, or they just simply, decided in that moment not to do it. So I congratulate you. The fact that, regardless of how things are moving, you're doing what you feel in your heart you need to do to move forward and to bring your business to that next level and being successful. If we can leave our audience with maybe 1 or 2 thoughts that you believe would be inspirational for them, to new entrepreneurs that are out there, what would you say? At least, what are at least 2 foundational thoughts that you could say, what, guys, if you think of these 2 things at least, or if you initiate these 2 things, this can help you perhaps to get into and becoming an entrepreneur. There's a lot of people out there who maybe are currently working a 9 to 5, or they're at school, or they're doing something, and they're thinking, I would like to start a business, whether it's a restaurant business or it's a maybe being a mechanic or kind of running their own operation, their own business. There's so many businesses even today now that are online where it's not quite the same. But again, a business is a business. Running your own business, regardless, it's challenging, it's difficult, and it's risky. So, any thoughts?
No, 100%. I actually have, I think that I'm in a group of friends, or the age that we currently have, it's, they're at that point, they're like, okay, like, I kind of want to do my own thing, right? And I hear it a lot, right? What I usually tell people, everyone's different, right? Like, your work ethic is different than mine, than his, and hers. Sure. So if you're going to partner up with someone, know what your strengths are, know what your weaknesses are, and know what the strengths of the other people is and what the weaknesses is as well. Because you have to find a balance, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're going to do a partnership, be aware of how much you can do and how much you cannot do. Same thing with the other person. What are you going to bring to the table? What is she or he going to bring to the table, right? That's one of the biggest things for partnership. And for the entrepreneurship, you just got to risk it, right? There's people that I'm sure they think, oh, like, you're lucky. Or there's people that they're saying, oh, you're doing so well, man. Like, I wish I've been doing all this stuff. They don't see we haven't taken any profits, right? And it's sacrifice, right? Just like if you have a few $1,000, say if, 10, 20, 30, whatever it is, you got to sacrifice it. Or if it's the time, if you're working 40, 45 hours a week, but you can start on something on your own, don't go home and play video games for 2-3 hours, right? Learn about the business that you want to open.
Sure.
Network with the people that are in that business. And that's what they say, you become the person that you hang out with. And not in a good or bad way, however you want to take it. I don't think necessarily it's a bad way. But it's so true when you want to get into the entrepreneurship, right? Because if you have the option to go network an event where I can either get a business or learn something or meet someone that's going to help me in the future, or go to a blog party, I might sound rude, I might seem selfish, but that's what I mean by sacrifice. You got to sacrifice time of your own to make sure you make it happen, right? So take that risk. Take the risk of you going to meet new people, network with new people, and learn about that business. And then the luck comes to you, luck, it's not just, oh, I found a business, it's someone that they see you work, that you're a hardworking person, and they were like, you know what, like, I think that you and I can be we can do a great partnership. And then it's the hard work meets luck, right? It's not just luck. I think you have to make your way up to where, you're working hard, you're focused on what you're doing, and then someone comes to you and be like, hey, I had this opportunity, and then you take it. That's what I consider luck. So I say, go for the opportunity. If you have something in mind, most people already know what they want to do, at least from the group of people that have come up to me.
Sure.
But okay, like, then what's holding you? Uh-huh. They're like, well, it's permits. Is okay? You can go buy a book. They'll show everything you need. You can go and ask help in the village. They can tell you all the permits that you need. And then you just got to do it. Like, sometimes you just got to do it. You can't be holding on or waiting on someone that it's going to guide you through it, because it's very rare. And that's why, the first few years in entrepreneurship, they're tough because you learn.
Yeah.
You learn. They think that you open a business and everything's great. It's not. It's really not, and that just comes back to the first thing that I was saying with sacrifice, that's knowing that if you want to do something on your own, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years maybe of you learning, of you working, 60 to 70 hours a week. But you know what? At the end of the day, when you hold that key and you open the door to your own business, it's a feeling that no one can explain.
Sure.
It's something that, like, this is mine. When you have, I was thinking back to the first Christmas party that we had for our employees. There was about 5 of us with my partner, right? And now we're thinking about the next one. So, for the next one's going to be about 25, 30 people, so it's that feeling that you're not just providing for yourself, but you're helping other families. That you're a team, really. What I tell them, it's at the end of the day, you're family, because you see each other more than you see family.
Yeah.
But it's, again, another sacrifice that if you want to get into entrepreneurship, you're gonna spend more time with people you work with or in a place that it doesn't involve family and friends. And I think some people get caught up in their everyday routine where, they hang out with this or that, or they do this, whatever it is that they do in their free time, where, I think that's what separates, entrepreneurship from, your regular 9-to-5 job.
Sure.
So, those should, take the risk and then, start taking initiative in what you're really want to do in the long term, because most of the people that I talk to, they're like, I tell them about all my plans, and I'm not big on posting things on social media, what's going on every day, every week. But when I see people, they're, hey, what's going on? Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm like, man, like, you're doing all this stuff, like, how do you do it? Or, I want in this one, I have this idea, and you hear that a lot. A lot of people have told me before, I want you to help me open this with me. Well, I was like, okay, well, let's do it. Like when you're really ready to go, when you're ready to go.
Sure. Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Jesus. It was it's been a pleasure. I look forward to tasting your food.
Yeah, of course.
We want to taste some of the delicious dishes that you have here, and so looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, of course.
I want to try your salsas, and if I can get some feedback or some perspective from you on actually. I'm assuming this is the least hot one.
Green Smile.
Green Smile. Okay, let me try that first.
Yeah. So the salsas, the green one in particular, it's a very simple salsa, very mild, very very mild salsa, but it has a nice little citrusy flavor to it. So the reason the flavor it has, it's because growing up, I was always eating tacos with lime, right? Mm-hmm. And what I've noticed, there's other cultures that they're not used to eating citrus with their food or with their tacos in particular. So I made this green salsa to give that little extra flavor, that extra taste. When people try it with the tacos, it has that little bit of a flavor that, to replace the lime. And this is just very simple, made out of jalapenos, tomatillos, a little avocado. Mm-hmm. The red one has it's not very spicy, but it has a nice kick. It's not. I want people to a flavor to taste what I grew up on. So I'll go chile de árbol, and it's everything. It's roasted, everything blended together, and it has a really nice kick. So there's really nothing in between this two. There's either this one just spicy. Not too.
It's not too spicy, definitely. Not
yes,
spicy, but it still has a lot of flavor.
Yeah, it has a lot. And that's what that's what we're aiming for. Something spicy with a lot of flavor. There's some spicy that just says chile de árbol,
right.
And people like that. But I kind of want to be. I wanted to give people a little bit of something that I grew up on. There's something that my mom does. My grandma, the salsa roja, it was always there.
Let's talk about now. Very nice, by the way. Thank you. Let's talk about what we have here. What is this to share?
So this is our chilaquiles, and then what we did, we actually mixed both salsas. Mm-hmm. It's very popular here. People don't want it too spicy and don't want it mild. So it's both salsas mixed together with our homemade tortilla chips. Mm-hmm. And then we actually have a 3-cheese blend from Supremo, which is it's Chihuahua, mm-hmm. Oaxaca, and Cotija. Mm-hmm. And it also has a little more creaminess than your regular Chihuahua, which it's very good for something like this. Sure. It's very flavorful. Okay. And then we just have the meat. We have the topping, cilantro, onion, and then sour cream on top.
It's nice and flavorful. Definitely not a mild experience. It's got a nice intensity behind it. Both salsas together with the cheese, the chorizo, really come together very nicely. It's I want to say the word. It's overused, but I have to say it's very authentic. It has a really nice complex flavor. Again, very complimentary with the onion. There's little bits of chopped onion in there. The cheese I definitely comes through. There's a lot of flavors going on here. Definitely.
It really is. I grew up on chilaquiles. Chilaquiles growing up, my mom making them. First thing I woke up Sunday morning, smelling the grease, right? Mm-hmm. It's something that I knew if I was going to have it, I want to make sure I do it very authentic. Something that reminded me of my childhood growing up. Up to this day, I still look forward to going to my mom's house and, eating her chilaquiles. So everything we try and do, it's something, to bring some of the authentic flavor I grew up on.
Well, that's what we try to do with our cheeses. Clearly, it's a, our belief is creating great memories through great food, and this is clearly creating a beautiful memory. I'm sure anybody who enjoys this, takes it home, or has their family and they're able to enjoy this. Oh my God, just beautiful, beautiful experience, beautiful feelings.
Thank you.
I'd love to try the next dish.
So this right here, it's something that has become very popular, and since we put we had the dish since the beginning of the first restaurant, but it's very pleasing, I would say, knowing that there's a lot of cultures starting to enjoy this dish, mainly because it has cactus, it has nopal in it. It's a pickled cactus, so this is more of a cold salad. So it has got pickled cactus, it has garbanzo beans, it has black beans, it has roasted corn, pico de gallo, queso cotija from Supremo, and then a nice piece of avocado in it. So, once you take a bite of all those components put together, it adds a really nice filling, but yet refreshing taste to it. And then just growing up, like I said, this is something growing up you don't really have an option growing up in Mexico, to eat. And sooner or later, it's in a dish that you eventually try. And it's something that I've always liked since I was little. And for me, there is not one single ingredient that represents Mexican culture more than the cactus, because it's in our flag, right? It grows everywhere in Mexico. It's very popular, very affordable in Mexico, and there's a lot of people consume it. But what I found interesting was that once people started trying it, and once they knew how healthy it was and the taste of it, the flavor of it, it started becoming a very popular item in our menu. And, without even trying, has become really a staple for our restaurants because of the, not because so much the meaning of it, but also the flavor of it and the demand more than anything else.
I would say that's a unique salad. I've never had cactus salad with shrimp. Very nice. It adds another texture to the medley of all the different textures with the typical nopal salad, which would be with either queso fresco, or in this case with cotija. Very good, a lot of flavor. You definitely, I can taste the spiciness of it. So again, to me, this is just bringing a lot of flavor overall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we make, once again, we make everything from scratch in our kitchen. Our adobo marinade being one of them. So this shrimp, we cut it in half, we butterfly cut it, and we marinate it with our sauce. And I think that between the adobo, that little smokiness flavor that you get from the shrimp and the sharpness of the cotija cheese, it kind of, it brings up the flavor of the dish to, some different level.
What I like particularly about it is that you prepare the shrimp correctly. They're not overcooked. They're not undercooked. I hate eating hard shrimp that's been overcooked, and just you feel like you're having a piece of rubber in your mouth. This is not like that at all. So compliments to your training and the people how they execute against it, because this is very well done.
Thank you. No, I agree with you. I don't, usually what I say, I wouldn't sell anything that I wouldn't eat or I wouldn't feed my family, and we really try to do everything as good as we can to make sure everyone has that flavor that we're looking for, the taste that we're looking for.
Excellent. Thank you very much. This is very delicious. So what is the next dish we're going to try?
We're going to have the quesadilla with our chicken marinated in adobo, a 3-cheese blend from Supremo, the Chihuahua, Oaxaca, and Cotija, which I think it's the best melting combo that you can have. As you can see, when it melts, it doesn't really spread. The one thing I like about the products, or this particular product, that when it melts, it just kind of sticks. It's not that
it doesn't liquefy and ooze out all over the place.
Exactly. So I think that's the biggest contributor of the products, or this particular product. And we have our adobo chicken, which we make the adobo in-house, marinated. We let it sit overnight, and then we cook it, and it just comes with a side of pico de gallo, guacamole, sour cream, and some salsas.
I'm going to eat it the old-fashioned way here.
Go ahead.
Throw a little bit of sour cream in here. And
I like guacamole and red salsa myself.
definitely, I could taste the chicken and the flavor with the adobo seasoning. And I obviously cannot speak enough about the cheese itself and how delicious it is.
I think the Oaxaca cheese, it's from my perspective, because to me it's the best Milton cheese, but mixing it with Chihuahua, which gives it a little bit more of the meltiness per se, and the cotija, it's a little sharpness. I think it's a very good blend of those three in flavor as well.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I think Oaxaca, first of all, I'll tell you, my children love Oaxaca. They prefer Oaxaca over all the other cheeses. They love the fact that they can feather it out and separate it out and just the flavor. It's very unique. It's distinctive. I love Chihuahua. Chihuahua's a phenomenal product. Our Chihuahua brand quesadilla cheese, but the Oaxaca just has this artisanal feel to it. It really does. How it performs and what it does. Very unique. Unlike any other cheese out there in the world. The reality, it really is.
I remember once someone told me that I follow my parents' cooking a little bit too much, to start thinking outside the box, to get a little more creative. And at first I took it as like, like, you're right, I need more experience. But then I was like, why? And in this industry, being a chef or entrepreneur or whatever, something I've learned, don't fix something that's working, right? So like, why fix, I was so lucky, I was blessed growing up on this great cooking that I had from my dad. That was a chef in a hotel in Mexico. My mom, that was a good cook. My grandma was an excellent cook. Like, why fix it? If anything, try to make it as close as possible so that we have other people trying that, that great flavor that we grew up on. And that's really what we aim for. We aim for people to try a dish that we make as authentic as possible.
Well, I have to tell you that your food is really very delicious. Muy sabroso, sinceramente, la verdad. It really is very, very good. Highly recommended. So anybody who has an opportunity to come to the Outpost at your different locations, please do so. I think you'll be delighted and you'll find it to be an exciting opportunity to immerse yourself in Mexican culture and real authentic Mexican food. So, Jesus, thank you very much. It really has been a pleasure enjoying your food, being here. I kind of feel like I'm at your house. I'm at your your restaurant. But it feels very much homemade, so I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate you guys being here, trying some of our dishes, but more important, going back to anything that we talked, bringing two different products together, right? And making something greater than what it would be if he was just standing alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a celebration of our culture. It truly is. And this is kind of like sharing a little bit of ourselves with the world and having an opportunity for them to kind of experience that. It's unique. It's distinctive. And so a little bit of me, a little bit of you, and kind of everything coming together here, just making for a really beautiful experience. Thank you.
Exactly. No problem. Thank you.